Hey there, it's Dr. Andrea here. You're watching The Enlightened Life. And today I want to explore two things with you, energy and vision. So energy, that's your overall vitality, your motivation, your drive, your passion. It's that soul fire. And where is that energy leading you? Where is your internal nudging, prodding, tugging, or downright pushing leading you to go at this next phase of your life? Do you have a bold vision into which you are living and evolving yourself to be a higher expression of your potential? That's what I want to know. Are you even open to following that energetic nudge and then expressing that vision? Or are you suppressing it? If you're anything like me, if you are following your intuition and expressing yourself, then you've had those moments where you feel flow and fulfillment. And if you're not, then maybe you're feeling a little bit of frustration. The reason I am doing this video is in response to someone who recently saw me speaking, and he asked, "How is it that you're so natural, at ease, and confident on stage?" He said, I see you sharing so openly and vulnerably, and you're here with me as naturally as you are on stage. And he said, I wonder if you've been that way all of your life. Well, no, I wasn't always this way. In fact, I was much more rehearsed, staged, and perfectionistic. And you know why? Because I suffered from what many of my clients suffered from, something called imposter syndrome. I never felt like I was good enough, smart enough, or mature enough. So I overcompensated and I compromised, and I ended up conforming to what I thought other people wanted from me. You ever done that? Well, guess what? Despite the money, the success, and the sexy sports car, I was miserable. And I ended up with a really deep, dark depression that ultimately led to my awakening. And it was this pulling, pushing, nudging from my soul that literally put me on this path toward enlightenment, and that's when I broke free. But it wasn't simple or easy, because imposter syndrome, it starts in childhood. You see, being a copycat and conforming and not expressing the real you is something that we learn, we practice, and some of us even perfect it. And imposter syndrome, if you break it down, it's really this pervasive dread and fear that someone is going to discover that you are a fraud or a fake, that you don't know what you're talking about, and you damn sure are not qualified for whatever position or title you hold. I wonder, do you know what that feeling is like? Or maybe you know someone who's dealing with it, that person that just can't accept a compliment. Or they feel like they're a fake, they're never good enough, and they can't even imagine why you would say that they're perfect and beautiful just the way you are. Well, if you know anyone like that, then please share this video with them. Go ahead, you can do it right now. I'll wait. Sun is shining, birds are chirping, south of France is blooming. Okay. The reason I'm asking you to share it is because I want to explain the cure for imposter syndrome and share a few tips that can help you liberate and love your authentic self so that you and everybody you know can feel free, can live life in flow, and experience that true fulfillment that you get when you're living life on your own terms, according to your own energy and motivation, when you're really stepping into a higher expression of your potential by creating a bold vision for life. If that doesn't inspire you, or you're not even a little curious, you can click off the video now. I wish you a happy day. But if you feel there is something inside of you, a message, a dream, or a passion that's kind of bubbling and tingling and just yearning to get out, then stick around. And if you believe that your ideas or your coaching method or your healing practice could change lives, this is for you. And if you'd love to connect with people on a really deep level so that you can share and contribute in a way that feels meaningful, this is for you. And that means that this is what you're supposed to be pursuing right now. See, I've met some people in the last year and a half who've told me they want to publish a book, get on TV, step up on that TED stage to share their knowledge with a global audience. And I could literally feel their passion. I could imagine hearing your voice being broadcast around the world. And what is so touching is that I can feel the vibration of your power and your sincerity and your dedication to like truly be of service. And what's inspiring about all of that is that I know that right now the world needs you. Like, we need you to step up and play a bigger game in life and in business. We need you to express your own version of genius so that you can help other people live better lives too. And there has never been a better time to launch an expert coaching business or start that community project or write your book than right now. Because today, the world is crying out for new leaders, problem solvers, motivators, and innovators who can help us restore peace and well-being and hope to everyone. I mean, don't you sense that too? I mean, I imagine that you have to if you're still here watching me. Well, I believe that you have the power to transform health, wealth, and happiness by embracing your unique talents and your abilities, and really the gift of your presence, just by being who you are naturally. Being your authentic self is naturally magnetic, and it's hugely profitable. And it is the #1 most sustainable model for your success and your happiness in life. And you truly do have an important role to play in this global awakening that's happening. And you, in your own way, can have an impact locally and globally. You know, I just finished doing a radio show on America Out Loud. And this beautiful woman, Iben Tranholm from Denmark, she and I got into it. It was, I think it's probably the most heated show I've done for this. I'm a co-host for this show, Life, Liberty, and the Pursuit of Pleasure. And we were talking about the feminization of politics. And boy, did we have some different views on what it means to be a man and a woman and where our place is. But the one thing that we agreed on is that we each have a moral responsibility to step up, step into our greatness. We cannot wait on religious leaders or political leaders to fix the drama and the trauma of the world. It is up to each of us to become whole, full expressions of the God-given being we were meant to be, so that we can make a difference in people's lives, okay? Now, I work with healers and coaches and light workers who are on a path to becoming what I call a global luminary. It's that shining star whose light is seen and whose warmth is felt by millions around the world. But guess what? You can do that too, in your own unique way and right where you are, and based on your natural strengths and authenticity. You know, you will hear me here on this show continually stressing authenticity and integrity, because these are two of my most treasured personal values. And from what I've seen in my 20-year career in global media and representing luxury brands, these are the two essential ingredients that are needed for lasting and profitable success. And the good news is you already have everything you need to succeed right there inside of you. So if you've ever experienced that inner turmoil that I talked about, where your energy is a bit tweaked and your mind and your heart are telling you that you need to grow, evolve, move, or start a new course in life, that's the call. You are receiving the call onto your hero's journey. So the next step is creating a vision. So I want you to just play with me for a minute. Will you do this little vision exercise? I want you to close your eyes, as long as you're not driving, and just imagine yourself fully expressing your gifts and your talents. And imagine yourself doing so with the greatest of ease and joy, and see yourself helping other people, being rewarded for your contribution to their lives, living abundantly, and feeling fulfilled. Can you get a picture of that? Get a sense of that. What are you doing? Are you working with small groups, working in a community, on TV, on stage, with a few people or a lot of people? Just get a feeling for you at your best, like really playing full out. Now, what if you took that vision and moved it forward a bit? How much higher could you go? What else would you add to that vision, which implies that you've stretched, grown, or evolved into an even bolder, stronger version of you? I want you to just play with this idea that you could be more and do more in this life. And it doesn't necessarily mean you have to change careers or change relationships or change countries like I did and move to France, where the bugs are just out. It just means you playing at a higher level. So I always tell this story about Beyonce, because several years ago I had the good pleasure of spending the evening with Jay-Z and Beyonce. And Beyonce had just been in concert, and she was amazing. This was just as she left Destiny's Child and went out on her own. And if you ever heard the story of Sasha Fierce, well, Beyonce felt like she needed to invoke this alter image. And when she stepped on stage as Sasha Fierce. She could sing and dance and shake it like nobody's business. And Sasha could do things that maybe Beyonce wasn't quite ready to do. And I saw that up close and in person. So after the concert, I was hanging out with Jay-Z, shooting pool, which I'm terrible at, waiting for Beyonce to change clothes and all that. And then when she arrived, she was this sweet, beautiful, open woman. There was a stark difference between the two of them. But one of the things she said about Sasha is that she knew she was always destined to be that, and invoking that vision or that alter ego, that image, just helped her. But if you've noticed over the last few years, Beyonce and Sasha Fierce became one, and I'd say that Beyonce has even, surpassed it in terms of her sassiness. So I don't want you to be afraid to have a vision that's a little bit bigger and bolder than where you are right now. It's okay to have a stretch vision like that. Our vision is what really, it creates a blueprint. And it sets the stage for how you show up in the world. And so by creating a bolder vision, that is to imagine yourself beyond where you are currently and imagine the you that you desire to become, then you're just imagine yourself expressing yourself in the way that you've always been destined to. Okay? So let's just keep that bold vision in mind. Okay? And hopefully you're a little bit inspired by that. As long as it's tied to your authentic self or there's something that you feel inside of you. And the reason why I'm saying it has to be part of you is because when I moved from the United States to Europe and expanded my business globally, I noticed a lot of people trying to mimic American superstars by creating copycat brands. And it just looked plain wrong. And in fact, as I sort of watched these businesses over time, many of these copycat brands, poof, they just disappeared. And I'm not saying that doesn't happen in America. Of course it does, and even I experienced a little, copycat or at least inauthenticity in my own personal brand. So if you didn't know this already, my brand or my TV persona was built just after I was hired by Discovery Communications as their medical director in the year 2000. And if you've ever seen any of the Discovery Channel documentaries, they're amazing. They're awesome, right? And so for me, it was like a dream come true, like literally. During my medical residency at Georgetown University Hospital in Washington, D.C., I would drive down the street and I would see this huge globe, the physical globe, the logo for Discovery Channel. And while driving to and from the hospital, I always thought, wouldn't it be great if I could work for Discovery? Well, what's crazy is that just a year and a half later, I manifested that. You see, at the hospital, I wasn't exactly totally happy. I mean, yeah, there were long hours, really sick patients, the bureaucracy, and don't even get me started on the depressing reality of how the American sick care system is structured, and really seeing this monstrosity that is the pharmaceutical industry. Okay, I was not happy. So I ended up taking a year off from clinical practice, and I joined an internet startup company, which totally set my entrepreneurial fire just ablaze. And while I was attending this medical expo, I was walking through the exhibit hall, and once again, I saw the Discovery Globe. And I'm like, what is Discovery Channel doing here? So I went to their booth, and I met this woman named Christy, who told me that they had just launched a health network. And she saw my badge, saw that I was a doctor, asked me what I did. I told her, and she told me that they were looking for a medical director. She invited me to send in my CV, which I did that weekend. And by Monday, Christy called me saying that the president of the network wanted to fly me in for an interview. And 2 weeks later, I had a job offer. So I thought, oh my gosh, I'm going to be on TV. I'm going to be on Discovery Channel, which would be so cool, because I had grown up doing these TV skits with my best friend, Allison, and I was practicing radio dramas that we recorded on cassette tapes. And even at university, I performed in professional and community theater, and I was the general manager of our TV station on campus. But when I got to Discovery Channel, no. The head of programming said that I looked like I was too young to be a doctor, and said that nobody would even believe it. So my requests to host a show were denied. So for the first year at Discovery, I just supervised scripts. I wrote content. I recruited doctors to serve on our medical advisory board, and I began the creation of our website content. But as luck would have it, we had a changing of the guard, and a new president took over the network, Bob T. Reed. And he said he had plans for me. So quickly, I was given a new role as spokesperson for the network. I got my own show, and I began anchoring the health news breaks. So they hired a makeup artist and stylist to make me look older, styled my clothes to make me look mature and newsy, and I even worked with a coach to perfect the delivery of the news with an authoritative tone. Now again, because of my performing background, I was cool. I'm like, okay, I'm a doctor, and I'm playing a doctor on TV. And pretty soon I was given my own radio show on Sirius, satellite radio. I got onto the Oprah Winfrey Show a couple of times, and I even hosted a show on Travel Channel. And then I started working with other talent who had proposed their ideas for the network, because we would hear at least 100 pitches a year. And so I started working with other experts and doctors to help them build up their persona brands as well. So while I had that job, I was able to build my own wellness center and spa with my mother. So I did the news in the morning, I saw clients in the afternoon, and then I started traveling around the United States speaking at conferences, which led to a book deal and all sorts of spokesperson deals, and I quickly built a multi-million-dollar business. So I thought you might want to see a few clips of that. Hello, I'm Dr. Andrea Pennington with a Discovery Health News Break.
The way kids beg and plead for stuff these days, you'd think that they were the greediest things that ever lived on the planet.
You must have been really good in med school.
I was kind of a nerd.
Okay.
Food does stimulate the same reward circuitry in the brain as do heroin, nicotine, sex in some cases.
And sometimes this body produces all kinds of mysterious stuff that I have to deal with. Like, for example, how can I say this politely? Boogers?
Pretty amazing that we Americans can eat about 150 pounds of sugar every year. His brain has undergone changes that even if he wants it, there's a huge fight going on inside his body to keep him addicted.
So that was the first Dr. Andrea brand. And maybe if you're not into, business or branding, let me just define the term brand for you. So a brand can be defined as the image that people have of you, your company, or your product. And a personal brand is who and what people think you are and what you represent to them in their mind. It's basically your reputation. I like to say that a personal brand is the outward manifestation of your inner brilliance. So it really represents the promise, the expectations, the experience, and even the emotions that a client may have from working with you. So naturally, being on TV every day for several years straight, I started to get recognized on the street. But it was not fabulous. It was not glamorous at all. For me, it was actually mortifying because I realized that people were looking at me as if I was that boring doctor, that buttoned up, prude, know-it-all. And I actually felt kind of, not really ashamed, but yeah, I just felt like it wasn't the real me, like there was so much more to me than just that image. But unfortunately, I felt really trapped because my business was tied to that image. So people who came to the wellness center, they wanted her. They didn't want the other brilliant doctors and therapists and healers that I hired. They wanted her, but she wasn't me. And eventually, one of us was going to end up dead. Because, as I told you, my two highest values are authenticity and integrity. And if you really break it down, integrity is about truth. It's about wholeness and alignment. And at that time, I was not living as my authentic self. I was not expressing my true passion. And I did not feel free to be me. So that vision of what it would be like to work for Discovery, full of creative expression and fun, it just wasn't matching up to the reality of the situation. And I had allowed myself to be molded and folded and squeezed into this brand, this persona, this box that was not really aligned with who I am. So just like you might have felt, I also felt that I had a message and a passion and a dream that I wanted to express. I felt that I had ideas that could help change the way people saw vitality and well-being. But I did not feel like I was truly living up to my potential. And the lifestyle, it really started to feel more like a prison sentence. I knew that I was unhappy, but I felt trapped and I felt helpless because over time, I ended up with just about 15 employees, which isn't a lot, but these were people who had children and mortgages, and they were all dependent on me. So here I was, feeling trapped, feeling more and more depressed. And so eventually that feeling turned into frustration and regret, especially when I started seeing people on TV who were doing what I really wanted to do. Here I was on this hamster wheel, and I was feeling like a slave to the machine. But I wasn't the only one feeling this way. Within a short period of time, the Wellness Center was rocking, and we were attracting people from all around America. And even these prestigious medical centers were sending us their toughest cases. So I was seeing, terrible cancers and chronic depression, alcoholism, eating disorders, fibromyalgia, and chronic fatigue syndrome. And I noticed a trend. Many of the people that were coming to this practice, they were kind of like me. What I mean by that is they were also living out of alignment with their heart and soul's desire. So I have the ability to see the cause of illness. And I get visions or downloads, as I call them, about how to solve problems or the potential creation of projects, for example. So if you're at all psychic or empathic, then you know what I mean. I mean, your knowing may come in different forms, though. But for me, I get visions and I get feelings. And my empathic and psychic abilities were heightened by my training in acupuncture and Chinese medicine. And so I could sit down and diagnose people whose conditions didn't always have a physical or organic cause, and especially if they were caused by a misalignment of their soul or their life purpose or some kind of energy block. So the same kind of vibe and energy and motivation that you and I might feel to get our message out there, to do something different or bold in life, well, they had those feelings too, but they didn't express it they suppressed it. And that energy went inward, creating turmoil, pain, and disease. And so in an effort to try to ease their pain, I saw clients who would self-medicate with food, with drugs, with alcohol, sex, shopping, gambling, all trying to ease their pain. So sitting down with them confidentially, as we doctors do, I shared with them what I saw. And nearly every time I was met with nods of recognition and tears. They knew they weren't living their purpose, but they felt helpless to do anything about it. I mean, haven't you ever felt that way? Where you knew you kind of weren't living your true purpose, or you were stuck in a relationship or a job and you started to feel physically ill, depressed, and maybe even a little crazy? Well, that's also how I felt, but I was hiding it. Like nobody knew that I was depressed or anxious and that I felt like a fraud. I was on TV telling people to live with passion and purpose, but I wasn't doing it myself. And I was on this downward spiral, starting to feel just miserable and basically hiding myself away in my house. But it's what led me on a quest. And I started searching for answers. I read book after book about the mind-body connection. I studied positive psychology with Dr. Martin Seligman. I had deep conversations with the late Candace Pert, you know, the one who discovered these molecules of emotion. And I even got mentored by Dr. Deepak Chopra. And it was while traveling with Deepak and Marianne Williamson in Puerto Rico that I heard Marianne say, if you feel like you're wasting your life's potential, you are. But I wanted to know why. Why was it so painfully obvious what was causing our problems? And why was it so hard? And why do we feel so helpless to do anything about it? Well, it turns out that old habits die hard. In my first TEDx, I talk about how we all get programmed, and that programming begins in childhood. As kids, we're approval seeking, wanting validation and acceptance that we seek through external means. And we let go of our original and natural inclination to express ourselves. And instead, we act like sheep. You know, we try to fit in and be accepted. And yet that leads to this constant comparison and checking, which leads to conformity, which kills creativity. So we suppress and deny our originality and become copycats. And because we try to fit into these molds and these social norms or these expected roles, we never quite feel safe and secure. And we don't feel like we're good enough because it's not us who's defining it. I mean, have you ever had that feeling that no matter how much you achieve, you're still never good enough? It's because we are measuring ourselves to things outside of us instead of following our own instincts and intuition to express who we really are. So instead of unconditional self-acceptance, when you look to the outside world for validation, you set yourself on a never-ending search for approval. And that's what leads to imposter syndrome, where you have this terrible fear and dread that someone is going to discover that you're a fraud, that you don't really know what you're talking about. And that's what I felt. You know, my family often jokes that I have more degrees than a thermometer because I was always trying to get some sort of a certification or license or whatever to prove that I was really smart enough. And I'll tell you what, that dreaded imposter syndrome just led me to the brink of destruction. In fact, it was in 2005 that I hit my rock bottom. The depression I was in was truly an all-time low. And in an act of desperation, at a time when I would say it was definitely the dark night of the soul, I asked God to take my life. I could not go on living like that. Like life just didn't even seem worth it. And something had to change. So I learned firsthand in an out-of-body, near-death-like experience, I had my own spiritual awakening. And that's what set me free. That is when the old Dr. Andrea died, and I was reborn and eventually rebranded as the authentic me. Sorry, my friends. The lawnmower people came and I had to move inside for part of my sharing of this story. So I apologize for the change in the venue and the clip, but I wanted to continue sharing the story with you. So you'll be happy to know that the cure for imposter syndrome, for that pervasive soul ache that you feel when you're not living up to your potential, it's all about returning to your core and living as your authentic self. So as I was teaching the business students at the University of Monaco, the work of applied positive psychology and all of the research shows that we can live in alignment with our core values, our strengths, and our natural abilities. And when you do align your work, your play, and your relationships with your natural strengths, you thrive. So this is like the creation, this is how I created the foundation for all of my work as a healer and a mentor and a coach. Like, for example, the Prestige personal branding system is an approach based on authenticity. You being yourself, open, vulnerable, and without trying to be anything that you're not. And when we do this, we can experience authentic happiness, we can thrive, and we can unleash creativity and innovation. And most importantly, this is the basis from which you can step into your greatness. So in my mentoring programs, my workshops, and my books, I present a blueprint for building your life, expressing yourself with confidence and peace of mind based on your authentic self. So in my company, Make Your Mark Global, our mission is to empower a new generation of soul-conscious entrepreneurs, lightworkers, healers, and coaches to share their brilliance with the world through personal branding, publishing, leveraging the media to broadcast your message around the world. And it's really all about giving you permission and a bit of coaching to help you break free and be seen as the glorious gift to the world that you truly are. You know, personal branding is not about bragging for the sake of ego aggrandizement. You know, it's not done to puff yourself up. This is about bringing your heart and your soul into your work and setting your soul's energy free to impact more lives. So I hope this has been helpful to you and given you a little bit of insight and understanding into why I do what I do. So are you inspired by your bold vision? Are you? Or maybe you're asking, who am I to be so bold? Well, in the words of Marianne Williamson, we ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of the divine, and your playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We are meant to shine as children do. We are born to make manifest the glory of God that's within us. And it's not just within some of us, it's in everyone. And as we let our light shine, we unconsciously give people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. So when I said that there's never been a better time for you to step into your greatness, to launch that podcast or get on TV or step on stage or write that book, I meant it. Because everything has opened up for you. Technology is cheap and easy to access. Reaching people who understand you, who feel your vibe, has never been easier. And what's more is the old paradigm of this sort of guru worship, it's crumbling. Nowadays, people want a personal experience with, yes, teachers and leaders, but not because you're being put up on some pedestal. No, it's because we are sharing this human experience. And yeah, you're just a little further ahead, or you've got some knowledge or some skills, or you've gotten a download that can help people. So now is your time to shine, and this is your opportunity to be seen and heard. And yeah, maybe you're like me and you're asking, well, who am I to write a book? Well, I've had that, When I was at Discovery, I had just stepped off stage where I presented the 5 keys to living heart healthy, and I was writing it up as a blog. And somebody, her name was Rita, stood behind me and she said, Andrea, that's a book. And I'm like, a book? Why would anybody want to read my book? I mean, Deepak has already written everything about mind-body health, and Christiane Northrup, she's like the voice of women's health. And oh, Wayne Dyer, he's already dialed into all the psychology stuff. And she said, Andrea, all of that may be true. You may have a similar message, but you're a different messenger. You have a different voice, a different energy, a different essence, a different vibe. So people may not feel attracted to or feel resonance with those people, but they will with you. And so I'm saying this to you because it doesn't matter how many other people there are in the marketplace doing something similar to what you're doing, because they'll never have the expression of you. And if you feel something inside of you that's bubbling and tingling and dying to get out, the laws of the universe say that there's already somebody here waiting for it. They're waiting for you and your message. Your counterpart is just waiting, and that's why it's bubbling within you. Now, I know that sometimes our vision is so big, so enormous, and so magnificent that we get scared. Like we fear that we won't be able to get it done, or that we won't be able to do it very well, or, we fear success just as much as we fear failure. And having a big vision is something that scares you because it takes you out of your comfort zone. But that's exactly what is needed for your growth, for your evolution, and ultimately for your fulfillment. So don't shy away from it, and don't expect to know just how you're going to implement it. That's okay. Just accept the vision and then allow the universe to bring the right people, the right opportunities, and the right preparation to get you there. I had a vision of a friend, and it was big and it was scary. It was scary for me to share because I did not know where this big vision was coming from. And I think it was also scary for her because she was going to have to face something that she hadn't ever. So I recently shared a story in London about my friend Bea Benkova, who I met a few years ago, and she shared this vision for the Global Institute for Extraordinary Women. Like, what a title, right? She explained how she'd built a coaching program to lead these emerging change makers from becoming an awakening star to a rising star to a shining star, taking their place in the constellation. And I was just so inspired by it, and I got it. She invited me to become a mentor in her program, and I loved it. She later came back to me and she said, I'm ready to step up into yet another expression of my potential. And she asked for my help with her brand. And I sat down, had a conversation, and all of a sudden I'm getting downloads and visions. And I'll tell you it was just crazy because I had no idea where these visions were coming from. So I saw this vision of Bea with political leaders, heads of state, diplomats. And I was nervous to share it with her because I thought she was going to think I was a complete weirdo. But guess what? Bea did me the greatest service that I'm so grateful for. She created a space and a conversation of openness to allow me to step into the highest expression of myself as a visionary. So I shared the vision that I had. And you know what? Once again, I was met with nods of recognition and tears. Why? Because Bea had never really shared that vision with anyone. She was afraid that saying it out loud, people would be like, well, who are you? Who do you think you are to be advising political leaders? And it's also scary because then it meant it was shared with someone, which kind of put her on the spot to do something with it. But you know what? She took it on. And I'm happy to tell you that just a couple years later, after doing some mentoring with one of her friends, and I'll show you the picture, Andrej Kiska, the newly elected president of Slovakia, Bea has left London, returned to her home country of Slovakia, where she is indeed working with political leaders and community activists, changing an entire conversation around the consciousness for her home country. Like, mind blown wide open. So don't be afraid of the vision that you have that might be a few steps beyond where you are today. Don't be scared. Just write it down. Meditate on it. Visualize it. Imagine yourself there, in that state, in the position of you when the goal has already come into reality. Just let it marinate and percolate and feel the energy and the vibration of the end result or the completed action, just for the sake of feeling it. Not for the sake of saying, okay, I'm committed to it and now I know exactly what I'm going to do to get there. No, you don't need that. Just allow yourself to feel the energy of what it would be like if that vision were to come into reality, and just see if you're willing to say yes on an internal level, on a cellular level. You need to at least feel it deeply. In the words of Greg Braden, the feeling is the prayer. So don't get stuck on the how. And don't judge that vision against where you are now in terms of your capabilities or in terms of the people that are around you. Because the people who are close to you now, they may not be at the same energy level as you in the future vision, which means they either get pushed over to the side or they might leave your life altogether. So don't compare where you are now or your circumstances or the people or your bank account or your knowledge. You don't have to know it all now. Not right now. But if you could allow yourself to feel what it would be like as you imagine that vision being your reality, I just might be sharing your success story in one of my videos. So I want to inspire you and continue to, encourage you to go deep within yourself, to bring more of you into play. Would you do that with me? Well, if you need a little bit of help to liberate and love your authentic self, I have a free audiobook for you. I'll put the link here in the description. You can get the audiobook and an ebook at andreapennington.com. It's called Liberate and Love Your Authentic Self. And if you are a business kind of person, if you want to create your authentic personal brand, then check out my personal branding training. It's reasonably priced. It's online. I'm there doing live Q&A to help you. The Personal Branding Bootcamp is based on my Prestige personal branding system. You can find out about that at makeyourmarkglobal.com. And if you're interested in publishing or media preparation or writing that TED Talk, or you need some mentoring there, either place, andreapennington.com or makeyourmarkglobal.com. So I am so grateful that you've stuck with me through this long video, and I hope that tapping into your own vision of you living at your highest potential has been inspired. And until next time, I'm Dr. Andrea, wishing you an enlightened life.